Welcome to Rome then. Daniel Bogdasarov on pole from last time race winner Revo. Then it's Oscar Folstad, championship leader, the Red Devil, and teammate Remy LeBeau. Bastien Tan starts 6th with Arnett Babner starting alongside. Then it's Marcus Nelson, Pablo Sierra, Enoch Yu, Tenali Gabo, Daf Sanchez, and Tommy in 13th. Then you've got Santino Milan starting 14th, Sebo Campo down in 15th. Then you've got the two Mercedes of Mohamed Nawawi and Zay Lane, Zach Wallace down in 18th. Then it's Hugh Cable, Akari Lopez, Pierre Gasly, and Leo. Alright then, so there've been two major rule changes. Introduction of new tyre compounds from our manufacturer and a closing of everyone. All 5 lights go on and we go green in Rome. That's a very good start from the home driver in Revo. Bogdasarov didn't really look as if he wanted to cover him off. It's going to be a drag race down to the first chicane. Folstad trying to get in on this as well. He's basically just in third there. Deep lunge from Revo, who's hit Daniel Bogdasarov as well. Bit of damage, not too much. Leo further back, seemingly. He almost hit the wall there for sure. He hit Pierre Gasly as well. And that's a lot of damage on Gasly's car. But out in front, Bogdasarov still leads from one of the two home drivers in Revo, with the other home driver, Tenali Gabo, down in 12th, seemingly not scoring any points. And I do hope he replicates what he was doing back at Virgin Racing when he won here back in, I believe, season 19, not even season 19, season 16, roundabout. Sebastian Ocampo down in 13th position. He's gotten himself a track limits warning. We go on board with the Argentine number 43. That's Tommy getting ahead of him. The DS powertrain, and so basically what's happened on the powertrain side of things is they've decided for the rest of the season that everyone is basically just going to get one of 3 different engines. They're either powertrains. They're either going to get the DS, Nissan, or the Aurelio powertrain, and basically that just means that now the teams can just focus more on season 21, as that's a very deep lunge from one of the drivers there. Missed who it was because I was too busy yapping there. As Bastien Tan, by the way, he's found his way up into 4th. The two Kiro drivers have dropped to 5th and 7th, and there has been some changes with the tyre compounds, those mainly being to make them last longer, well, and also to exaggerate the difference between tyre compounds and their tyre life, because before you could basically do the same thing on softs as you would do on mediums. But look at this from Remy with attack mode, sent by Marcus Nelson. Look at that, almost a wall for Babinas Jr. He's just about kept it out. There's a 4-way fight for 6th position, as you can see Remy LeBeau, winner of his first race back in Buenos Aires in this season. Bastien Tan in 4th, getting a fastest lap. Look at this from Remy. He's going to get another shot. He's going to be dragging some cars all the way down to the first chicane, as we now go on board with the Kiro Renault man. Marcus Nelson's covered him off. And luckily, just about no contact between those 4 drivers, and Enoch Yu and potentially Pablo Sierra trying to fight over the 6th position. Wow, this could be quite the battle. Or indeed, but further up, you actually have something else. Oh, that's a puncture! Ionette Babinas Jr. He's got a rear left puncture, and he's dropping down the order. Oh, dearie me, he's been hit in the back by Zach Wallace, who's also here today at his home race. Sims Motorsport Nissan fielding an all-Italian lineup at their home, at both drivers' home race. But for Babinas Jr., that's pretty much his day done. On lap 3 of 13, he's gotten himself a puncture. That's unfortunate, to be honest. But that has elevated Remy LeBeau up to 7th, and everyone behind him up 1 position. As Bastien Tan getting himself ahead of his teammate, the championship leader. And that's going to be important, because once again, we've got a battle between Revo and Folstad for the championship. Revo 2 points back on the Norwegian, number 4. Looking to the Red Devil, and yeah, he's got tons of gaps to the cars in front, and damage for Tommy, who gets himself a time penalty. And does someone else have tire problems? Or is it just drivers going quite slowly? Because Zaylane getting passed by Pierre Gasly wasn't nearly a contest. As you can see up ahead, weaving from Tonelli, and that's a virtual safety car, Pierre Gasly! Oh, that was ghastly for an incident, and Pierre out of the race, and oh my goodness, Bottas Jr. only now comes into pit lane, and they're putting him onto mediums, but that is it for the Frenchman here in Rome. Virtual safety car is ending. And looking to the front right-hand tyre for Revo on driving for DS the Cheetah, he's likely to come into the pits soon as he's rounding the final turn. And yes, into the pits comes the home driver in the number 7, also in Oscar Folstad, and presumably a lot more soft tire runners. Look at that drag race into the pits. There comes Tonelli, Gabo, and Daf Sanchez, as well as Tommy. So many drivers coming into the pits at the end of this lap. Revo re-emerges in this race outside of the top 10 100%, but where will he emerge? Keep an eye on the timing tower for that. But we go on board with Daniel Bogdasarov as he now comes into turns 4 and 5 and hits the wall. Bogdasarov losing his front wing. Sebastian Tan coming through there with the yellow flags. The Red Devil losing grip, and it's the same scenario for a lot of drivers behind him. A lot of weaving for Santino Milan, and same for Mohamed Awawi, who returning to the FEMC this season hasn't really looked as if his timeout helped him. If anything, it seems to have reversed him back to where he was prior to the best seasons of his career. But now, look at this. We've got another champion battle between Akari Lopez and Revo. Coming through this wide chicane. It's one of the few on the calendar of its type. Many drivers coming in now. We've got Bogdasarov and Sebastian Tan both in. So that means the Red Devil leads the Prix. Down the inside comes Revo. And that's a very, very good move from the DS Cheetah man, as in comes Akari Lopez. And Revo, where is he going to be in relation? He's ahead. He's ahead of Bogdasarov, Folstad, and Sebastian Tan. So Revo, by pitting earlier, he's just performed the undercut on the drivers in front. Same for Folstad, because now what was once a fight, into the wall slide job for the Red Devil. He's lost his front wing. Folstad just about got past Revo right before that and is on the back of Zach Wallace. He's also weaving quite a bit with his hard tires. Lots of struggles for those who've stayed out very, very long into this one. As Revo gets past Folstad, as if to say, this is my home race and you are not going to strip the race win away from me. As look at that. He's trying to do the same thing on both Wallace and first teammate UK Ball. Can he try and get past the Britain? Cover up at the last minute from the number 89 man. So he's forced Revo to try and take the outside line. You can't really make the pass there because it's, of course, longer. But he does go to dive. What a move from Revo to take 5th position. Folstad up into 6th as UK Ball and Zach Wallace both coming to the pit. So it's Marcus Nelson who leads. But you can see tire wear being a massive issue. They are losing grip out there for Nelson and Sierra, who have stayed out since lap 1 with those hard tires. They are likely to be caught by the 2 drivers behind them in Revo and Folstad if they do not crash. Tommy further back, 10-second time penalty for colliding with the back of the Red Devil. Pablo Sierra's just come through that chicane. As look at that. Bogdasarov thought that there was an opportunity to try and take 4th position away from the Norwegian man, but Folstad had him covered, and he's going to get attack mode on Revo now. So now, as they now rise up and now down the hill, it's a track with very little elevation change here in Italy. There goes Folstad to P3. Will Revo try and fight back as Vastian Tan does the exact same thing to Daniel Bogdasarov? I don't think Revo's fighting this one as hard as he would usually coming through this hairpin. The final turn, it's not really a hairpin. He's got attack mode, so that's probably why he didn't want to make the move. 5 to go as Sierra and Nelson have come in. Zach Wallace hits a faster second sector, and Revo takes the lead of his home Romy Prix. In Season 20, I believe this to be the 20th running of the Romy Prix, as Mohamed Awawi setting a fastest lap of the Prix at 1:11.533. Someone will probably check if this is the 20th running. As Santino Milan further back, time penalty for causing a collision. We've seen a lot of those recently, and Mohamed Awawi dropping down to 14th place. Luckily for him, no puncture of any sort. Vastian Tan getting up close and personal with Folstad, who has dropped way out of the attack mode range. He's 2.008 seconds away as Vastian Tan up into second, and Will Bogdasarov behind him do the same thing. Folstad had a pretty good start to this race. I don't know where that pace has gone so far. It's Leo, just take a look at him. He's down in 20th, and he's got a large gap to Cable ahead, but an even larger gap to Babinus Jr. behind. So I'm not too sure what's caused him to be in a little bit of a race of his own. But now with 3 laps to go, a little bit of an attack mode train forming. Here comes the aeroplane. Folstad up into second position before they even reach the breaking point of the first chicane. But here comes Vastian. Almost contact between the two McLarens. They're going side by side coming into turn 3. And with Daniel Bogdasarov right behind them, he's going to be wanting for the 2 drivers in front of him to come together. Coming through the chicane to now down through 4 and 5, just about keeping it out of the wall. And Vastian Tan holds his position up in second, and it is going to be attack mode for both Vastian Tan and Oscar Folstad. Bogdasarov's dropped out of this fight, but they are closing, gaining on Revo ahead as well. Revo, who's trying to win his home race. He won his first career race here at home in Season 2 for Mercedes EQ, but now in Season 20, driving for DS Cheetah. Can he do what he did oh so many seasons ago? In real world terms, that was 2 years ago, as Wallace being attacked by trying to attack Zay Lane. He's at the back of this pack for position as Remy LeBeau and Daf Sanchez coming in for their second stops. That's going to be important, but not as important as this. Folstad has dropped positions. He's coming to the pits. Vastian Tan going for the race lead. The gap was under a tenth of a second going through the chicane, but now coming into turns 4 and 5. And almost the wall for Revo. Just about keeps it out. How has he done that? You saw right ahead. He was weaving so much. His medium tires have had it. The undercut, we know from the first round of pit stops, is unimaginably powerful. And we've got yellows down in the second. Yellows in sector 2. And that's likely for a missing front wing for a driver. Yes, it's for Mohamed Awawi. And he's lost his front wing down at turns 4 and 5. In comes Ironett Babinus Jr. And Vastian Tan to the inside of Revo. They're likely both going to come into the pits. One of them is Revo pits. Vastian stays out for lap 11 of 13. Bogdasarov peels into pit lane. The Red Devil stays out. Marcus Nelson, obviously he stays out because Techeetah not wanting to try and do a double stack. Sebastian Ocampo up into 4th, but where is Folstad in relation to Revo? That is the big race that we are trying to look at. And he's ahead. Folstad has the net race lead. The undercut once again working, and working well. 4 seconds, and Remy LeBeau and Zay Lane. That's the gap. Almost contact there between the DS Cheetah man and the Mercedes driver. As we look to Marcus Nelson, who comes through the chicane. Almost contact. We've seen races won and lost down at the chicane, and we've got yellows, and that's for Santino Milan ahead, who has lost his front wing coming down the hill, so that's him losing grip and trying to recover it and hitting the wall, which we have seen before. Zay Lane dropping outside of the points paying positions. Unfortunate for the rookie driver, of course, the Rookie of the Year award established for this season. And we are going to go back and retroactively look at rookies who've done well, and if you're in the Discord server, you know that there's a channel for that. But now, Tan, the Red Devil, and they're the guys who come in. Marcus Nelson is staying out for lap 12 of 13. His teammate in Revo, he won his first race of the season last time out in Manila. Can Marcus Nelson win his first race since season 16, since the last time I was in this championship? Can he do it? That would be magnificent to see. And do you want to know what would be better to see? Every World Drivers Champion that we have on the grid win a race this season as coming through the chicane. But it is getting a lot darker, and it's the wall for Marcus Nelson. But if it does rain, him losing his front wing, it won't matter. He can continue going on his merry way, but he's got Pablo Sierra behind and Pablo Sierra ahead. And it's a puncture for Marcus Nelson. The fairy tale ends. Oh, dearie me, the Dane's day is over. His teammate Revo going past him at full speed, over 300 kilometers per hour. But that's it. Day over, and it's rain on the penultimate lap of the E3. Will they be able to come into the pits and change their tires? I think Marcus will be. Marcus, 100%, he'll come into the pits and go on to Inters. But we're on to the final lap, and they haven't stopped. They've got dry tires on a wet track. It's been declared wet. Attack mode has been deactivated. Pablo Sierra is leading, but with tires that should not be on this track surface. Falstad is currently second to try and increase his championship lead. Revo is fourth at home after coming into the pits. But now, as they enter 4 and 5 on the wrong compound of tires, can he keep it out of the wall? He's in it! Sierra hits the wall. But I think the Spaniard should be able to go for his first race win in blue. And oh, that's the Tan! He's out on the last lap, with many drivers coming in who can come in. Going on to Inters, Marcus Nelson being one of them. And there isn't enough time in the race, I don't think, for us to continue under green for too much longer. So for Pablo Sierra, as he now comes through the chicane, we've had 2 retirements today. He's going to be heading down to the penultimate turn of this track. As we now get back racing, Falstad tried his best. He will extend his championship lead today, but this could go down to the line as they now head into the final turn. Spain versus Norway, it seems to be today. But for Pablo Sierra, he's won dead heats before, and he's going to do it again. Pablo Sierra wins in Rome from Oscar Falstad and Remy Lebeau. Then it's Revo, Bogdasarov, Dav Sanchez, and the Red Devil, followed by an QE. Then it's Tenali Gabo scoring points at home, and Sebastian Ocampo in 10th. Fastest second sector going to Marcus Nelson further back. He cannot set a fastest lap, however, due to him coming into the pits. But my oh my, we were robbed of what could have been a brilliant finish, and it's all down to that virtual safety car caused by Bastian Tan's retirement. But of course there's a reason we have these safety precautions, and it's just wild to think that the rain started falling on lap 12 of 13. That's kind of wild. But of course these things do happen in motorsport sometimes, because there are just some errors that get made, and of course, Bastian was caught out. But it is a brilliant day for Kura Raceco though, 3rd and 7th. It's their team's first season, by the way, and they are doing things that a team like Sims Motorsport weren't able to, and still haven't, for example, win a race. But this is a podium. Pablo Sierra does take home victory in Rome from Oscar Falstad and Remy Lebeau. All of these drivers race winners, all of them some of the best drivers we've seen so far in this championship. Then outside, you've got Revo, one of the two double champions on the grid. Daniel Bogdasarov, Daf Sanchez, the Red Devil, and an Kiwi, the top 8. Then you've got Tenali Gabo in 9th, Sebo Campo 10th, Mohamed Nawawi, and UK Balls. Santino Milan finished 13th from Zach Lawson, Akari Lopez, and it's Zay Lane, Tommy, Marcus Nelson after having that puncture on the penultimate lap, Leo, and Inet Bemis Jr., with your non-finishers being Bastien Tan and Pierre Gasly. In the driver's standings, Falstad leads Revo by only 8 points, then it's Sebastian Ocampo, who is 28 points down on the McLaren driver. Daf Sanchez's teammate is 4th, then it's Daniel Bogdasarov, Remy LeBeau, and Marcus Nelson. Then it's Inet Bemis Jr., Tommy, Pablo Sierra, Bastien Tan, the Red Devil, Enoch Yu, because I've been saying that wrong this entire time, Tenali Gabo, Santino Milan, Leo, Ucable, and Zay Lane, with the drivers yet to score any points so far this season being Pierre Gasly, Zach Wallace, Akari Lopez, the season 15 champion, and Mohamed Nawawi. In the constructors' standings, DS the Cheetah lead the way, 8 points ahead of DS Andretti. Then it's DS McLaren CGR, Renault Edams, and DS Venturi Formula E team. Then it's Kiro Renault, Nissan Nismo, Sims Motorsport Nissan, Aurelia Pinnacle, and Braun Honda and Mercedes EQ, the only teams on single digits in 10th and 11th. So we'll see you guys next time then when the Formula E Motorsport Championship returns.